But yeah, appreciate the super chat, man. Thank you so much. All right, let's shift gears. Let's talk a little Packers, Bears real quick. I wanted to get into this just a little bit. You guys know we're easing into this preview. We're trying to hold off a little bit on covering it too much until we get injury information so we can really dive into where the matchups may or may not lie. But I know Clay Matthews is fired up for this matchup. As you can see here, he tweeted out the other day, immediately following that Packers-Bears game a couple weeks ago, right? He says, what a game, that throw, the hatred is real, and the rivalry is alive. We deserve to see the Pack and Bears run it back one more time in the playoffs. That was on December 21st. Today, he just quote tweeted it with this image right here. You got to love some Clay Matthews, man. Absolutely love it. So Clay Matthews is fired up for this third matchup between the Packers and the Bears. I'm absolutely jacked for it. I think it's going to be arguably the game of the year. It definitely for the Packers, I believe, and the Bears probably too. This is what the NFC North is all about. This is what the black and blue division is supposed to be. Packers, Bears, cold weather football in the Windy City or at Lambeau, right? And just two teams, two young teams, I think we would all agree now that the Bears are significantly older than the Packers roster, which is wild to think about with the free agency moves they made. Some people still think that it's like the Bears are the younger team and they're the up-and-coming younger team. They're actually older than the Packers. Packers have the youngest roster in the league, but, you know, mainstream sports media is not going to mention anything positive like that around the Packers. They're going to try to paint a different picture. But nonetheless, this is going to be fun, man. You got them winning the NFC North, and that fan base has talked so much crap all season long, right? And you got a chance to knock them out in the first round. Now, it's going to be a little bit of an uphill battle. I know the Packers are favored, but boy, when you hear other people talk about this, it feels like the Packers are the underdogs. But I will say this, there are a lot of people out there that know what's on the line for the Chicago Bears. You know, when you look at these two teams here, right? When you look at these two teams, what I see in these two teams are you've got one team that some would say they've kind of overperformed this year in the Chicago Bears. The other team is kind of like, okay, the Packers underperformed last year, and people weren't expecting them to come in and take the North this year. I didn't see many people saying that. Now, when you add Micah Parsons, everything blows up, right? But you lose Micah Parsons as quick as you added him there, you know, before you could even get to the playoffs, he's out with the ACL. So now we're kind of back to square one. I think anybody going into the season, if they had said you're not going to have Micah down the stretch and you're going to be this banged up, what is like 20-some, whatever, however many people it is that's on IR, season in and injured reserve, you probably think, yeah, the Packers aren't, you know, going to be the team that represents the North in the playoffs. Well, here we are. We got two North teams. And you guys know Barstool Sports over there. If you guys follow them, they do a lot of Chicago Bears coverage. They had a show, I want to say it was earlier today. Yeah, it was earlier today, this morning. And they had Dave Portnoy, I think is how you say his name, Dave Portnoy, the guy who basically founded Barstool. He was on there talking some Chicago Bears, talking Packers versus Bears. And I want to get your all's take. And thank you for the super, Mike. We'll hit that as soon as we get through with this little segment here, man. This is what they had to say. And what I tweeted out was everything on the line for the Bears, zero pressure on this banged-up Packers team. There's nobody expecting this Packers team to go on a run. Vegas is going, I actually think the Packers should be favored. When you hear everybody else talk, it seems like the Bears are kind of the Cinderella story, right? The underdog is how everybody's kind of like, this is the team that could potentially take this thing, right? I want you to listen. Their tweet that went out said, if the Bears lose to the Packers, will it be considered a losing season? Quote, everything the Bears have accomplished, everything the Bears have done, every positive sentiment is gone, is what Dave Portnoy said. Let's see what he had to say about this Packers-Bears matchup. We'll pause it in between. But again, this is from Wake Up Barstool is where the audio is from. Here we go.
This is the worst.
And by the way, there may be language. You know, Barstool gets a little unhinged like McAfee sometimes. So if you got kids in the room, be prepared, okay?
Matchup you could possibly have if you're a Bears fan.
Yeah.
Because Everything that they've accomplished this year, no Bear fan thought they're going to be the playoffs. No Bear fan thought they were going to be 11-6. When they started slow, you had Eddie. Eddie was on a hunger fast. I mean, things were falling apart in Chicago. These guys were done with this team. They were saying they're going to get the wrong guy.
That happened earlier this year. If you guys go back to the first 4 weeks of the season, Chicago fans, I remember tuning into a post-game show, and somebody went off the rails calling in, and the guy said, and he said, thank you at the end. And the host went, yeah, we'll appreciate you. Call in anytime you want. We'll be here. We'll be. I remember going, boy, they're really in the dumps. So everything he's saying here is spot on. That's how they started the season. Everybody was like really, really down. I remember them questioning right off the bat, boy, Ben Johnson, this Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams thing, this marriage ain't going to work, right? Yeah, so I definitely agree with what he's saying there.
To turn it around and have the run they had, unbelievable. Now they get the Packers, their arch enemy. They have that miracle win versus them. But if the Packers go in and beat them, and by the way, everything we're saying here that you just said, T-Bob, everything's off for the Packers. They're 9-7. They're favored in this game. They're favored on the road in Chicago.
Well, they outplayed the Bears for the vast majority of the two games. Right?
But still.
It's so true, man. Both games, the Packers outplayed them. Now, it shouldn't have come down to that last second throw where Keyshawn Nixon intercepts Caleb Williams in the end zone. And we know that last game against the Bears, it should not have. I mean, there was like 5 different things that could have went wrong that went wrong. If one of those things goes in the Packers' way, the Packers' direction, Packers win that ball game, right? So it was kind of a very, very strange win there.
To be a 9-7 team going to an 11-6 team in the same division on the road, and the road team is the favorite, would make me very nervous. But everything the Bears have accomplished, everything the Bears have done, every positive sentiment is gone. If the Packers go in and end their season, it's a bad season for the Bears. I honestly believe that.
What he said, I mean, it's so true. Like, they're riding this high, right? And now they've stepped into that, oh, we won the North. We're the big dogs now. If the Packers somehow, some way go down to Chicago and beat the Bears, they're going to be devastated, absolutely devastated. Now, there'll be a portion of the fan base that they'll go right back to where they were the first 4 weeks ago. Well, we wasn't even expecting to win this year. I got you, Hoss. Do I need to show you the bookmarks on Twitter? I mean, it got really loud from these Bears fans. Again, the Packers go down and take care of business. This whole thing, that's why I wanted the Bears. It had nothing to do with I want to play an easier team. These are all playoff teams. Anything can happen. You're going to get the best version of all these teams. They all know they have a chance to win the whole freaking thing. So with that being said, I wanted the Bears because I wanted to go down there and beat the team to knock them off. I wanted that opportunity of, man, I want to see the Packers go down there in their house and just slap the crap out of them and go home, boys, get out of here. Oh, yeah, you won your NFC North because we were completely banged up down the stretch. Even with our banged up roster, we ended your season. That's a way to make it right for sure.
It's a losing season for the Bears, despite it being the best season they've had in recent memory. Anybody else knocks them out, it's a positive season. This is one of those few college-esque rivalries you have in professional football where like these two fan bases truly hate each other. And if the Packers, who have dominated these guys for decades, knock them out, I don't care, Bears, you had a losing season. This is
just wild to think about, right? After everything that's kind of transpired here with the Bears this season. And here it's going to come down to this game where it's going to be Packers-Bears. And if God forbid the mighty Chicago Bears lose this game to the Packers, they are going to be in shambles, absolute shambles. And I got to be honest, I'm here for it, man. I am here for it. Mike Witt with the super chat. Thank you, Mike. He says, McManus wins it at the end of regulation, book it. How cool would that be? Brandon McManus with a game-winning field goal. You know what I'd like even more than that, Mike? Like for us to win by a couple tutters. How cool would that be? You look up in the fourth quarter and it's just they can't get anything going. We got a 2-touchdown lead and let's just drive this thing home. Don't try to coast in. Don't try to play the clock too much. Just keep your foot on the freaking floor, right? That would be absolutely awesome to me. But again, Mike Witt saying McManus wins it at the end with a field goal. He went on to say, hot take, all road teams win this weekend. You know, it's funny you say that because I was talking to a buddy earlier this week. It doesn't feel like there's home field advantage in the NFL much anymore. And, you know, we've talked about how the gambling line has moved from 3 points to 1.5. You know what I'm saying? Like for home field advantage. Some people say it's still 3. I'm kind of old school. I still look at it like 3, just because my mind. I was brought up in the whole gambling process, thinking, yeah, if you're at home, you're kind of catching 3. Not meaning, oh yeah, they're going to win by 3. No, it just means you got to kind of count that into the actual point spread and how Vegas figures those things, and do with it what you want. But some say it's down to 1.5 now. So I was telling him, I'm like, man, I kind of feel like in the NFL, home field advantage isn't as popular anymore. I don't know how you guys feel in the chat about that, but it kind of goes hand in hand with what Mike's saying there. Hot take, all road teams win this weekend. I think it's important, don't get me wrong, but I also can kind of see it being something that just doesn't have the same meaning that it did, before, if that makes sense. So Jason Y with the super chat. Thank you so much, Jason. Appreciate you, buddy. He says Matt LaFleur lives rent free in Ben Johnson's head. Did you see what he said after his loss? Yeah, it's going to be wild, man. Ben Johnson has had some crazy, like he kind of got snippy last night after their loss, obviously. And I talked about that loss on the morning show today. It means more than Bears fans want you to think it does. Guys, that was not a game where the Bears said, we're going to just sit our starters. We're going to sit a few people that are important. We want to keep them healthy. And if we win, we win. If we don't, we don't. They went into that game trying to beat the Lions. The Lions are so banged up. You guys understand, we swept the Lions this year, right? Even when the Lions were at their healthiest point, we kicked them in the mouth, right? So the Bears go and try to play the Lions, and that was in Chicago, right? So it was the Lions traveling to Chicago, and the Lions went in there and took care of business. You had Jared Goff throwing for over 300 yards, right? And then afterwards, Ben Johnson said, if we're playing a game, we're going to be playing our starter. He just kind of shrugged it off. But again, there's some Bears fans that act like that game didn't matter. You were playing for the 2 seed, bruh. What are we talking about? What do you mean it didn't matter? What do you mean it wasn't a big deal? Like, you were playing for the 2 seed. Now, you ended up with the 2 seed because the Eagles crapped the bed against the Washington Commanders. You can, it is what it is. But the fact that you got shut out for 3 quarters at home with the number 2 seed on the line, essentially a playoff game is what that atmosphere pretty much was. It matters, man. I'm telling you, it matters way more than they want to pretend it does. That's for sure. We got Joe Trev 1 with the super chat. Thank you so much, buddy. Appreciate it. He said, this will be the best playoffs in a while. It's wide open, NFC and AFC. I think that's a great point, Joe. It really is. It's fun to see the Patriots back. You guys know, if you've watched this channel for some time, I love to follow the Patriots. I love following Bill Belichick's whole regime and the history of the Patriots, and how, because I just study success. I don't care what it is. If I'm looking, I'm a big history nerd too. Love documentaries, love, different types of stuff. I usually don't watch many movies because I feel like there's enough interesting things that's happening in real life, as opposed to going and watching a bunch of overpaid people pretend like something they're not. It's just me personally. Shout out to Hollywood. You could kind of tell how I feel about them. But I love going in and watching the Patriots dynasty and going back and reliving it and kind of figuring out what are the common threads? How did they have success, right? Patriots are an interesting story in the AFC. Is the reason I bring that up. The Chargers, they could get hot at the right moment, right? You got, the storyline of the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans has arguably the best defense in the league, and they could go on a run here, right, and win the whole freaking thing. So it's just it's really, really interesting. You jump into the NFC. Some people think the Packers could get hot. They're getting as healthy as they possibly can right now. They kind of rolled the dice and said, look, we're okay with going in the playoffs with a 5-game losing streak if we can get our guys healthy and give us the best, or a 4-game losing streak, I apologize, to give our guys the best chance to create some momentum in the playoffs with our healthiest roster. Some people think they can win it. Some people think the Bears can win the whole thing, right? Some people see Seattle as the better team in the NFC. Some people, see the LA Rams as the hotter commodity. I completely agree, Joe. I think it's going to be a fun playoffs to watch. And in the background, I'm watching Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers going, man, how cool would it be if it was Packers Steelers Super Bowl and Jordan Love gets to go up against his old mentor and Aaron Rodgers, and Packers come out on top in that matchup. That would be who I'm rooting for. Some people get mad because they find out I'm rooting for Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers. I don't understand why you're pissed off about that. I don't know what he did that you're so butthurt that someone's not allowed to root for him, even though they played the Steelers earlier this year. Boy, I was all about Love embarrassing him. I was over the moon that we went to Pittsburgh and Love was able to beat Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, right? But I'm kind of watching that one in the background as well. They could get hot. at the right moment. They got some serious momentum off that last second field goal miss last night that put them in the playoffs. And we know with the 2010 Packers and what happened there, how just a little bit of momentum going in the playoffs can make a big difference. But thank you for the super, Joe. Appreciate you. Mike Witt with the super chat. I think Saturday night is going to be a Jacobs and Wilson game, just a gut feeling. And you missed an earlier super chat of mine. Thanks for everything. Sorry about that, Mike. I'll go back and see if I can find it here, man. Appreciate the super chat. Yeah, Josh Jacobs, man, I'm excited because this is the healthiest he's been, I want to say all year. You guys correct me if I'm wrong in the chat, but it does feel like this is the healthiest he's been all freaking year. So, okay, I see the super chat there, Mike. Sorry about that, buddy. But yeah, I think this could be a Josh Jacobs game as well. I really do. I think that the weather may permit. It's going to be in the 20s last I checked. There's a slight chance of snow flurries, but it looks like it's just going to be cloudy. But also, man, Adam Stenovich, Coach Steno said something earlier. I think it was either earlier. Yeah, it was last week. He said, yeah, they were asking, are you worried about Jordan Love being rusty coming into this game? And he was like, no. He said, I see Jordan every day, and he's got a different look in his eye. You know, you seen it on the sideline in Minnesota last night. Did you guys watch that? Did you notice that? Or yesterday, I should say. Did you notice how he kept his helmet on and stayed towed to the out-of-bounds line all day long? There was a couple of times I wanted to go, somebody take his damn helmet. Don't let him go on that field. Do not let J Love go on that field. But it kind of looked like he was like chomping at the bit, wanting to get out there. I just love everything that Jordan Love represents, man, and the way that he approaches everything. So Mike Witt with the other super chat. Sorry I missed this, buddy. I thought Jonathan Ford looked good yesterday, and I think given his friendship with Micah, I think Diggs restructures his contract and stays on the team next year. I think Hafley's defense fits him better. I completely agree. I think Jeff Hafley's defense fits just about any defense. Any player, a player's better than any defense they would be on, especially the worst ranked Dallas Cowboy defense. That's the other thing about Cowboys fans kind of making it sound as if Trevon Diggs is hot garbage because their defense is horrible. And it's like, Bub, what are you talking about? You're trading away pieces and your defense keeps getting worse, right? You know, they went and traded for Quinnen Williams, and I agree with that trade. I think that's a great trade. They were pumping up the fact that they got Kenny Clark. We were very vocal on this show. I love Kenny Clark as a person, but I felt like his best football is behind him. So the talk in Dallas was, Micah sucks against the run, and now we're going to have a good run defense because we got Kenny Clark, and we got rid of Micah, who sucks against the run. And then you see Micah come in. Our run defense got better with Micah in the lineup. Hell, we played him at defensive tackle a few times for run stops, right? And then you see Dallas's defense just slowly trickle down, and they finished dead last in the league, I think, in scoring defense, if I remember correctly. So, matter of fact, let me double-check that. I've said it a couple of times. I may be getting a stat mix up. But scoring defense, opponent points per play, yeah, they're dead last. They're giving up 0.490 points per play on defense in Dallas. So Dallas fans swinging a miss again. Surprise, surprise, right? So Jonathan Ford, I didn't think he looked bad yesterday, but it's obvious you're banged up. You need that extra big body. So I will say this. I have more faith in Jonathan Ford than Nazir Stackhouse based off what I've seen so far. Now, Nazir Stackhouse has more upside than Jonathan Ford, but Jonathan Ford is more game ready right now. And that doesn't mean Jonathan Ford is a dominant football player, right? I'm not saying that by any stretch of the imagination, but I do feel like Jonathan Ford gives us a little bit better chance than Nas Stackhouse playing the nose. Now, obviously, Kobe Wooden is your starting nose defender, and now it's who's coming in after that. And also, when you're playing a team like the Bears that wants to establish the run, maybe you put an extra big body in there and kind of load that line of scrimmage, right? I could see them going that route as well. But thank you again for the generous super chat there, Mike. Thanks to everybody for the super chats, man. It's a pleasant surprise this evening. It helps more than you know, and we greatly appreciate that. But let us know, guys. How do you feel about Packers, Bears, early chatter? What did you think about what Barstool said? What did you think about Clay Matthews getting amped up for it? It's going to be an exciting matchup on Saturday night. And listen, if the Packers lose that game, I'm not going to be in here doom and gloom. We know the chips are stacked against us, even though Vegas sees us as the favorite. You got all these injuries that's piled up. What we get to see going into the offseason, even if the Packers lose, is we get to see which of these players kind of rose to the occasion on the grandest stage. Maybe Collin Oliver gets more snaps than I'm expecting, and he plays really well. Maybe Trevon Diggs goes out there and freaking balls out and gets a pick, right? And we go, all right, we're keeping him next year. Let's do some adjusting like Mike Witt and the guys say here in the chat, right? To me, there's a lot at stake. You could still go on a run and win the Super Bowl. But regardless, you're going to get information on these players and specifically these young players. And again, quick little numbers. Scoring offense, Green Bay is 14th in the league right now. Chicago is 12th. So Green Bay has fell below Chicago. Chicago's been ahead of them all year in scoring offense with Ben Johnson arriving. He's done a hell of a job. Ben Johnson's quirky. He's an arrogant. He's kind of an ass. I got you, but he has turned that offense around quick. The problem is their defense and scoring has dropped to 23rd in points per play allowed. Green Bay is still sitting in the 10 spot. So when you look at the matchup, the offenses are 12th and 14th, with the Bears having a slight edge in scoring. Defensively, the Packers hands down have the better defense, but you got to add in a caveat: the Chicago Bears take the ball away more than any other team in the league. They're dominant there. At least they're in the top 3. I think Houston was up there as well. Turnover margin, Caleb Williams is protecting the football, and his defense is taking it away. So the turnover margin is through the roof. They're definitely still leading the league in that category. So let us know in the comments, how do you feel about this Packers-Bears matchup? Make sure you hit like, make sure you hit subscribe, and click that bell icon so you know when we go live in the future. Like tomorrow, there'll be multiple streams again tomorrow. We'll continue to break this down. We'll give you any kind of bit of information and news that may pop throughout the day, the morning, the evening, what have you. And we'll keep our finger on the pulse. And again, we won't have the first, actually tomorrow's Tuesday, right? It's a Saturday game. We'll have our first injury report tomorrow. So we'll be bringing you that breaking news as soon as the injury report hits. We'll see which players. I'm looking at more of who's being held out as opposed to which players are coming back to practice, if that makes sense. Because I think there might be one or two that kind of surprise us, like, oh, man, they're still banged up. They're probably trending toward not playing. But the majority of these players are going to be getting healthy that aren't on IR, obviously. So let us know in the comments what you think, guys. Make sure you hit like, subscribe, click the bell icon. We will see y'all tomorrow. Have a great evening. My name's Clayton. This is PTA. Go Pack, go.
Here we go. We're out. Bye, guys.